I know you all appreciate a really good bad joke, so I came prepared today with some about horses. Ready? Okay. They're short, so I'll tell a few. I put a bet on a horse to come in at 10-1, and it did. Unfortunately, all the others came in at 12:30. A horse walks into a bar. The barman confuses idioms with jokes and offers him a glass of water, but can't make him drink. Okay, maybe you've heard the one about the runaway horse. It's a terrible tale of woe. I put a bet on a horse that had excellent breeding. After the horse left the starting gate, he stopped and closed it behind him. Welcome to Curious People Wanted. I'm Dr. Daryn Reyman-Lock, curator of the Barnum Museum. Today, we are off to the races. I'm going to talk to you about horse racing and sleigh races. Yep, that's right, you know the drill. If you stay until the end, I'll tell you another horse joke. Horse racing goes back to ancient times. As early as 1500 BC, Assyrian kings maintained stables of professionally trained horses for chariot racing. As everything in my world leads back to Rome, I should acknowledge that chariot racing rose to prominence as a sport in ancient Rome, where specialized horses called circuses were developed. The Romans also kept public records of the bloodlines of their horses. Horse racing continued in Europe over the next millennium, and by the 16th century, trotting matches were taking place in Holland. In 1777, Holland's most famous trotting event, the Golden Whip, was started. Around the same time, Count Orlov, a Russian aristocrat in the court of Catherine the Great, who was also her lover for a time, developed a particularly powerful breed of horse called the Orlov Trotter at his stud farm. It wasn't until the early 19th century, however, that horse tracks, specifically trotting tracks, were established in the United States. By mid-century, harness racing could be watched at county fairs, and by 1840, trotting became an organized sport in New England. Before talking about American horse sports, I should take a minute to acknowledge the difference between northern and southern horse traditions. The puritanical roots of northern settlement resulted in the idea that horseback riding was a pretty unseemly display of wealth, and betting on horses was a huge no-no.
Not a wholesome trotting race, no, but a race where they set down right on the horse.
In the South, by contrast, there was no opposition to placing a wager on a horse race. Regardless, political climates of the 19th century saw Republican virtues against racing and betting prevail in some states, resulting in laws and bans against wagering. New York was one of those states, and horse betting was banned in 1822. However, by the mid-19th century, American horse racing was dominated by trotting, which was okay in the North as it didn't come with aristocratic connotations of leisure riding and breeding, but was more akin to the use of horses in everyday life. Okay, so what the heck is horse trotting and why am I bothering you about it? Both great questions. Glad you didn't ask. So trotting is a type of horse racing where standardbred horses pull light, two-wheeled, U-shaped vehicles called sulkies. It is a type of harness racing. When it comes to harness racing, there are two types of horses. The first is a pacing horse, which is also called a pacer. The pacer has a specific type of movement. It moves both legs on one side of its body at the same time. The second type of horse is a trotting horse or a trotter. Their stride is characterized by moving opposite front and rear legs simultaneously. So, for instance, the left front and right rear legs move forward together. As I said before, American horse races were dominated by trotting in the 19th century, and as standardbred horses were used for these events, the creation and evolution of that type of horse had an international impact on horse-based sports. By 1879, what we think of today as a standardbred horse was established in America. All that means is that there is a standard of time performance for the breed. They can run a mile in 2.5 minutes or less. The standardbred is the burly brother of the sleek and agile thoroughbred. The American standardbred horse has its roots in an English thoroughbred stallion named Messenger, who came to Philadelphia in 1788. Okay, right, that's probably confusing. Messenger was a thoroughbred horse, but was used as a sire for horses that would become trotting stallions. He had tens of sons, all of whom became trotting sires in the early 19th century. Messenger's great-grandson, a trotting horse named Hambletonian 10, was born in 1849. He became the founding sire of the American Standardbred horse. He sired a whopping 1,331 sons and daughters between 1851 and 1875. This formidable lineage basically led to the elimination of all other strains of trotting horse in the United States. The line was so dominant that all American Standardbred horses after him, and many trotters in the rest of the world, are actually related to him. He's like the Genghis Khan of horses. I guess there's some highbrow joke here about his descendants being the golden herd. Maybe. I'm sure I'm making my father really proud with that one. Sorry, Dad, but I'm not really sorry. As American trotting gained popularity, many champions gained notoriety. If you've ever heard the songs The Old Gray Mare and Camptown Races, the Old Gray Mare and the Bobtail Nag were actually real horses named Lady Suffolk and Flora Temple. These are the horses whose fame led to international interest in American horses for breeding stock. All right, so bringing this all back to the Barnum Museum, we recently received a racing sleigh for our collection. This particular type of sleigh is called a cutter because it is lightweight, open, tall, and narrow, and is designed to cut through deep snow. It is a type of sleigh that was introduced to the United States around 1800 and usually had one seat for two people. Some did have a second seat and/or a child seat that could fold out as needed, but all of them had these gracefully curved runners. This particular sleigh was made by W.C. Powell in Pennsylvania and was owned by Nathaniel Wheeler, a co-founder of the Wheeler and Wilson Manufacturing Company. The company was initially established in Watertown, but its factory moved to Bridgeport in 1856. Wheeler was a horse enthusiast and maintained a stable at his home in Bridgeport with several trotters. He also enjoyed carriages and enjoyed harness and sleigh racing. The story that goes along with this particular artifact is that he once raced this sleigh down Clinton Avenue in Bridgeport. Okay, so one more joke. Some racehorses are staying in a stable and one of them starts to boast about his track record. I've won 8 of my last 15 races. Another horse says, I've won 19 of my last 27 races. Another one yells, oh, that's great, but of the last 36 races I've run, I've won 28. At this point, a greyhound who had been sitting in the corner says, I don't mean to brag, but of my last 90 races, I've won 88. The horses, clearly amazed, hush, and one horse yells, whoa, a talking dog. Please remember to like and share this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If there is any topic you'd like me to explore or a question you'd like answered, please comment below. But most importantly, remember to stay curious.